I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. And I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states, 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose, all divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
Red, the politicians have decided to take the Pledge of Allegiance out of our schools. Red Skelton, I'm so very glad you are not alive to have seen it happen. The Pledge of Allegiance made me personally a better American. Americans have forgotten who they are. The children are not taught good values like loyalty, honor, or pride in the country. Many people died for what we have today, or still face the never-ending hell of being maimed for the rest of their lives. If we are not careful, our right to bear arms will end up like our Pledge of Allegiance. First they took the words under God from the pledge. Then it was taken out of schools altogether. What they are going to do now is make law-abiding citizens given to very strict gun control over the next few years. Gun grabbers will be just a short step away from making the right to bear arms disappear much like our Pledge of Allegiance has. 2014 and 2016 are going to be upon us soon. It is at this time that we need to send a message to all politicians. If you supported anti-gun laws or limiting our constitutional rights, your careers are over. Do some research. Figure out who voted for what. Don't be afraid to vote outside your party. This isn't about Republican or Democrat. We can secure America for future children and maybe even get back the Pledge of Allegiance. Would that be so very awful? I know Red Skelton would approve, but it's up to you.
The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It makes thorough sense if you understand the history.
How it should be done. 2008 case of District of Columbia versus Heller, in which you wrote the decision upholding the individual right to possess firearms, a decision that runs to more than 60 pages of very close textual and historical analysis. Reading law, quote, "The Second Amendment did not say that the people shall have the right to keep and bear arms, or even that, quote, the government shall not prevent the people from keeping and bearing arms, but rather that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." This triggered historical inquiry. So how does the history inform the reading of what strikes a layman like me as a very tricky text, that prefatory clause, comma?
The right of the people to keep and bear, as though it was a pre-existing right. And that triggered historical inquiry that takes you back to the English Bill of Rights, which sure enough contained the right to keep and bear arms. Again, if you studied history, what's the connection between not taking away arms, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, and the militia? It seems very strange. But historical inquiry shows you what the connection is. The way the Stuart kings, the Catholic kings, destroyed the militia, which was supposed to be all of the male citizens trained to arms. The way they destroyed the militia was not by abolishing it. They just took away the arms of all of those who opposed the Catholic kings. And so there is a connection. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the defense of a free state, a militia consisting of all of the body of the citizenry, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It makes thorough sense if you understand the history.